You love a person or a thing so much that that thing is all you think about 24/7. God is going to be like, no, 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 no. I am your... Hi guys, welcome back to my video. This is Priscilla Suffer. So today I'm going to dive into a very famous topic. It's on why we suffer. Some of the reasons why we suffer is because God has a better plan for us. We can look at Moses' example in the Bible. Moses was chosen to take the Israelites out of Egypt, but God made it such that the heart of the king would become so stubborn, and he wouldn't easily allow Moses to get out of Egypt. So God allowed Moses to endure a bit of suffering, a bit of waiting, that patience. Moses had to go through that so that the victory that Moses would have in the end would even be much more greater. If Pharaoh had allowed Moses to go out of Egypt with the Israelites on the first time that Moses came to ask him, then Moses wouldn't have divided the Red Sea in the first place. So it's because of each of those trials that made the victory greater. Sometimes God would make us go through suffering because the plan, the victory is so great. So the greater the suffering, the greater the victory will be. The greater the waiting period, the greater the victory will be, if you get what I'm saying. All you have to do during the period of suffering is to stay in faith and remember that God is a faithful God. Sometimes one of the reasons we also suffer is because God is trying to take us out of a certain situation, in which a situation may lead us astray, may lead us further from God, may lead us further from His plan. It's better, to end something with someone than end up getting married with them, and then in the marriage you realize that this was never meant for you, this was never God's plan, and you just got carried away. So God will often allow us to go through a certain type of suffering, a certain type of loss. That's just a brief example of what God is trying to save us from. So most of the time when we lose something, it's not that God doesn't want us to have something good. He has something greater planned for us, and most of the times you find that what we have, we begin to worship it. We love it so much that we begin to dedicate ourselves to it. You love a person or a thing so much that that thing is all you think about 24/7. God is going to be like, no, 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 no. I am your God. You're supposed to be worshiping me. I know that thing. And just from that, something can disappoint you, but God can't. So it's going to take away. By the way, my nose, anyway, forget that. So it's going to take away, something that may lead you into worshiping it. It becomes a form of idolatry. The only way of us reaching God's plan, God's purpose for our lives, is through suffering. For you to reach a certain level of your life, you have to undergo through suffering, because that suffering will mature you. It will sharpen your thinking, it will sharpen your understanding, it will sharpen you as a person in Christ. And that's why sometimes we have to go through suffering for our own sake, because God's maturing us in that process. You really have to understand this type of suffering from that point of view. You have to understand that God is preparing me for something greater. That's why He's trying to sharpen me in the process, because pain oftentimes is how we get, sharpened, how we become mature. Suffering in someone's eyes may be a period of waiting. God may make you wait for something because it's not yet time for you, and in that period of waiting, He's trying to mature you for the person that He's going to make you to be. In the video that I released previously on the 10 habits to have in 2024, the first habit I mentioned was putting God first. So sometimes the reasons why we suffer in what we are doing, we decided not to put God first in that career, in that relationship, in that course, in that scholarship. We didn't put God first. And when you don't put God first in something, it's going to go down real bad, real soon. It's going to go down. It's going to go really bad. So put God first before everything. Putting God first gives you an assurance to say that whatever I'm going to do henceforth is going to go extreme. It's going to end up very well. It's going to end up better than I expected. But if you don't put God first in whatever you're trying to pursue, then it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good. So seek God first. Put God first in whatever you're trying to do. Before doing it, put God first. I plead you. This is coming from my own personal experience. I did not put God first in something. I ended up including him later. And when I included him, it wasn't even about him. I was just telling him, God, please make sure this goes well for me, instead of me acknowledging his power and his presence and thanking him for this opportunity and asking him to go in. I was just asking him, and it never worked out. So don't be that kind of victim. Put God first before anything. Tell God that, you know what, God, before I'm doing this, before I enter into this, I want you to go ahead of me, to fix the way, to set the way, to prepare people that you want me to come across with. You also have to understand that suffering doesn't come from God, doesn't always come from God. God may allow us to suffer. In that period, he's trying to test us, or he's trying to prepare us for something, or he just wants the victory to be greater, and that's why the suffering is, keeps on going. So always stay in faith, even though you're suffering, whatever it is you're going through, whether you're just waiting, you've been waiting for something for a long time and you're still waiting. There are different forms of suffering, So stay in faith. Keep in mind that God never fails, God never forsakes, and God always keeps his promises. He does exceedingly, abundantly, and above all our expectations and whatever we ask for. That's just how God is. Thank you so much for watching. Otherwise, bye. See you in the next one.